What is up, my people? Motley Jam back here, and today I want to give you the first video in a series of videos recommending games that are similar to Dungeons & Dragons in the sense of they use the same rule set. They're focused on fantasy, anywhere from sword and sorcery and low magic fantasy all the way up to high fantasy. And they kind of scratch that itch for that without it being actually Dungeons & Dragons. So if you're a person like me and you've left Dungeons & Dragons, the name brand, behind, but still enjoy the style of game that the memories of Dungeons & Dragons brings about, pre-being super corporate, I would have to suppose, here, that's what this series is about, recommending other games that I personally think actually do it better. And I'll leave the final decision up to you, of course, but here are my recommendations. So today I'm starting off with a game that I personally feel really embodies the spirit of the channel. This is a game that is free to own. So as far as like cheap and inexpensive gaming, you can't get better than free, right? But you are not losing quality for the freeness of the game. You know, you get an entire community that's contributing to this game. We'll delve into it all here in the first video of this series, but basic fantasy role-playing game, my people, let me tell you, this is an amazing little game. This was created by a man named Chris Gonnerman, and he does have a channel here on YouTube, which I will link in the description below. Please check him out. But this is one of the first retro clone games, or what we now know, what I feel is like the precursor to what we now call the OSR. So it's basing it off of the older Dungeons & Dragons games, the BX, the White Box, things like that. I think this is more in the BX realm of that. Basic Expert, for those who don't know what BX means. It's basically one of two very light and unorganized rule sets that made the first couple games of Dungeons & Dragons. Anyway, it's based off that, but by all means, as much as this started off as a retro clone, I will have to say that this has definitely become its own thing, and I love that about this game. It has such wonderful contributors that are contributing so much to this game that I really believe it embodies that love of tabletop gaming that our community is known for, and the free exchange of ideas with the only asking of credit, you know, giving credit where credit's due. And I love that about the community. Basic Fantasy really embodies all of these things. There are things that my channel hopes and aspires to embody. And this game is the number one for that reason. That's why I'm featuring this first. So if you're looking for a one and done, let me show you a little bit around Basic Fantasy and see what you think. Now, on the channel here, I don't really do reviews. I don't review games per se. There's plenty of people that do way better jobs at that, but I do showcase games. So what does that mean? I'm going to show you a little bit of what I like about it, what I thought stood out about it, and show you a couple of the things that I find maybe unique about it, and give you an overall recommendation of how it felt when I played the game. Now, a little bit of history. Chris Gonnerman first made this game and released it, I believe, in 2006 was the first time it was released in PDF, and printed for the first time in 2007. It is essentially a rules light game, although I would consider it more rules medium at this point, but that's a discussion perhaps for another time. But in that realm of rules light to rules medium, D20, you know, 6-stat, fantasy-based game. So it's a very familiar game to many people. It's, as I was kind of hinting at earlier, it's recently moved to the Creative Commons license, getting away from the OGL and all that stuff, moving into the Creative Commons, which I feel was actually something that made the game even better, because now taking out anything that may have been a reference to that and putting in more original stuff is some of the stuff I love about gaming in general, the original stuff, or the twists on, you know, a lot of the tropes that are present in the game. I really love that stuff, and a lot of these games moving to Creative Commons, including Basic Fantasy, took out stuff and added stuff in, and a lot of the stuff they're adding in is very creative and really cool. I want to show you the PDF because I don't feel you can see as well when I just open the books. So I'll show you the PDF here in a little bit. This is Basic Fantasy, though, guys. Like I was saying, D20 system based on BX. This has so much become its own entity. It has become its own community, and I feel it just leaves Dungeons and Dragons, as far as the name brand goes, in the dust, and goes in a direction that's so much better, in my opinion. Makes it more familiar to, I think, a more modern audience on role-playing games, but keeps so much of that old school vibe and feel that it's just undeniable that nostalgia comes out while playing something that, again, is its own thing. The game was created by Chris Gonerman, but there's so many people that have contributed in the form of other books, like this here, which is just 288 NPCs. Great book, by the way. You have 2 field guides here. All these contain multiple people like contributing, or at least another person other than just Gonerman, and these people are donating that. They're giving that. Now, yes, you can buy the books, but they sell these books at cost, right? For the cost of these 4 books, I still paid less than one player's handbook from Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons. And that's not anywhere near a lot. It's close to that buying all 4 of these, but it's still less than just one of those books. With that, I get the entire game. I get 2 books of monsters and villains and creatures, and an entire book of NPCs. All the stuff I need to run games for a lifetime. And I was able to do it for less than one of the books I could get for Dungeons & Dragons Wizards of the Coast. And again, you don't even have to do that. You could just go get the PDFs if you don't want the books. I just enjoy physical books, you know. If you don't want the books, don't buy them. Go to the website, which we'll go over here in a little bit, and we'll take a look around. But go to the website, download the PDFs for free, try it for yourself, and tell me what you think. Because honestly, I, myself, and my party were all very surprised at how much we just enjoyed the game, how intuitive it is, and how it really is made in the vein of the original idea of Dungeons and Dragons. And you take and add and subtract rules as you desire, what fits your world. And I love that about this game. The other thing that's great about this is just, if you want a little bit more than this right here, you could also get maybe an equipment emporium, which gives you more equipment that's in the regular guide. Maybe you want to run some adventure anthologies. So you can get 3 books, all with multiple writers writing completely different kinds of adventures. And many of these have some great adventures in them. I'm not going to go into depth with all the adventures. Maybe I'll do that in another video. But honestly, guys, these things that I have here definitely cost more than one player handbook, but cost less than a player handbook and a Dungeon Master's Guide. And that's not even including the monster manual. And I literally have enough adventures, equipment, monsters, NPCs, and rules to play for the rest of my life with never playing the same game twice. And I love that about this game. It's such a wonderful game. It has such a wonderful community around it. The Discord channel is always very busy, and I always see that as a sign of a very active and good tabletop community, is that their Discord channel is very busy and active. And Basic Fantasy is always one that's active and busy, and I love to see that. And I can't gush about this game enough. I don't know if you've caught on to this, but I like this game a lot. Again, if you're a person like me, and you want to save the most amount of money when you play a game, and granted, I get it. You're going to say, oh, but all your books. I know, I'm a jerk that way. But I mean, seriously, if you're just starting out, you don't want to spend a lot of money, and you want to really have that experience of that old school tabletop gaming, Basic Fantasy is such a wonderful and easy way to do it. You can even get the SRD, that's the Systems Reference Document, which is just boring, but it's just all the rules laid out. You can take that, create your own game with it, and even if you want to sell it, all you really have to do is say, hey, Chris, thanks. You're the guy who started this, and you're pretty good. Now, I know the rules are maybe a little bit more detailed than that, but they're pretty easy and simple. And again, just really follows the vein of the spirit, I should say, of the tabletop community, where we enjoy sharing ideas as long as you give credit to the person who originated that idea. And I think that's a wonderful way of building a community and building game systems that really work wonderful. very customizable, a great community, lots of support, lots of options. Not all of them official options, and that's okay. The community itself has a lot of in-house options that are really cool. Not all compatible, but I think that's the beauty of it. You know, taking those ideas and making them your own and fitting in your world. So I'll take you over there, and we'll be back in just a minute. Alrighty, guys. Basic fantasy role playing game and its iconic dragon. I'm not going to really go through everything here with you. I'm just going to go through a couple things that I think is pretty cool and just show you right off the bat. We're going to skip the how to's and why this exists thing. If you want to check that out, of course, check it out on the website, which we will take a look at here too pretty soon. But as you can see, if you look at the player character rules and everything, this is very basic early Dungeons and Dragons style rules. So you have 3d6 for each ability score. You have your strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, and charisma. Very basic, very easily recognizable for most people, I think. And in the Dungeon Master optional rule stuff, you can even award experience points as gold, or use gold as experience points, however you want to put that. If you're into that, you know, your ability scores and the bonuses, hit points and hit die, you know, very, very familiar stuff for most people. In basic fantasy, the core rules, there are only the 4 races. And I usually don't like to use the term races, honestly. I won't get too deep into that, but I just think this is where that term is actually kind of appropriate. But there's only 4. Yeah, there are supplements that give you more, of course, but this is the core, and I like the fact that they're keeping that the way it is. It gives you the 4, but I really do believe that you have the ability to be very flexible and creative within those 4. So that's really good. Now here, where we see like experience points and advancement, this is where I feel it becomes more of a rules medium game when you have charts and experience points. Now, if you like the experience points style of play, I think Basic Fantasy does it great. They really simplify in a way that makes it simple for new game masters to get into, I think. But for me, again, that makes it more of a rules medium game. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I almost exclusively use Milestone, and I'll get into that in a video where I talk more about like the rules I only use or always use. That's what I think right there. It does use that. Now you can get expansions again on online, and we'll check out that video soon. But if you do want that real old school feeling, use the XP system that comes with this at least once or twice. Just if you ever want that real feel of that old school type of game, I believe that's important. Something else I like about this game: retainers, specialists, and mercenaries. Now, I know other games do this, but this is part of the core rules, not an optional rule, and I really like that. I think that this really comes into play for a couple of specific purposes that I think not a lot of people play these style of games, but they come in very handy for games where you have only a couple players. Like if you have only 2 players and you know for a fact the adventure you would run would need a couple people, having some retainers or a specialist or even a couple of mercenaries are basically paying to be a pool of hit points and weapons and damage to deal out. And I think this is a great way to do it. Having retainers, having mercenaries, where yeah, they'll fight for you, but you got to pay them. It's a resource that you have to manage still, and I think that's really great. Specialists too. If you need somebody to, let's say, you need to sail a boat, but none of your party can sail. Well, hiring somebody that can do that would be important. Hiring blacksmiths, carpenters, things like that. I really like that idea, and they put it in here as a core rule, and that's something else that I like a lot about this game. If you have a war band, you know, that's another great way where you can have like retainers and mercenaries are your soldiers. Specialists are the people that you need for specific technical and tactical purposes. It really expands like what you can do with the game if you consider these types of things. And I really like that. I also like the fact that this game doesn't assume that all monsters are going to fight to the death, that some might choose not to do that. In monsters, guys, I have to show you some of this stuff because Barklings are kind of like I don't know how it's the creation of Basic Fantasy. This is something that is in Basic Fantasy. Not the first time that a canine style race has been created, but the Barklings are just so cool. And I had to show them off because it's one of the things that a lot of people notice about the game is that, I mean, the in-book bestiary is actually not bad at all, but you can still get the 2 bonus bestiaries and really just fill out what you're able to do and can't do. I love some of this artwork. Look at this. I'm just doing this right now to show off some of the creature artwork and to show you just how different it is. There's so many different artists, and all this artwork is contributed. And I think that's really important to acknowledge. These guys are giving this artwork away for this so that you can have a game that's free and playable and gives you not only cool pictures, but stats to go with it. I think that's really cool. Look at the artwork. I'm just kind of gushing here a little bit, guys. I can understand if you're bored with this. I'm not going to do this much longer. I just love, like, how there's so many different styles of artwork, and they're all just beautiful on their own right. And it's all by people who are just donating these things because they want to be a part of it. And I love that. This just embodies that tabletop community, like I was saying earlier. And it's one of the aspects of this game that I just so thoroughly enjoy. And again, this is just in the core book. This isn't even going through the other books. Again, if that's something you guys want, let me know in the comments. I will gladly go and review some of the, or not necessarily review, but showcase the field guides and stuff so you can see some of the other monsters and creatures and artwork that's out there. But give credit to these guys, people. This artwork is done by many people, most of them professionals, and they're giving it away and showing their love for the tabletop community. So show the love back, guys. Artists are important to our hobby, and real life, real people who are making art are important to society, I believe, as well. And I'm a little biased because I do have artists in my family, but I also just believe that art does have an important place, and we should definitely give credit to the people that are doing that for our hobby because it really is what brings our hobby to life. But I'll get off my soapbox here. Let's go check out the website really quick together. Here we are at the website. Now, guys, this is just the landing page, the home page. Page you really want to check out first is, let's check out the downloads. Oh yeah, this is where it all is. 4th edition rules. You can get all the older edition rules as well if you so desire. That's totally fine. Those field guides I was showing you, they have the links here, of course, to where you can buy them as well. But this is where it's all free, guys. You come in here and you download all this stuff for free, like I have, and you have a bunch of stuff here. Look, we have an entire campaigns with settings and everything. People, I'm not lying to you when I say this game has everything you need for years. The adventure anthologies, like the books I showed you, are right here. But look, they even have these entire campaigns with settings and everything. Great stuff here. Anyway, here's where we get aids. You got other people submitting these things. These are just different character sheets and screens, some pre-gen characters that are actually pretty cool. We have some supplements. These are all some additional classes. Not all of the supplements you'll find here are necessarily compatible. That's one of the reasons you won't find them in the core rules. However, you can easily take these ideas and mold them to fit your particular game. There's also races here in case you're into wanting to give some more of those options. You got alternate rules, supplements for stuff. Now, most of this is homebrew, guys, but I mean, just all of this stuff is available. And even if you do nothing but take some ideas and twist them into something you want, it's just a great resource with tons of people that look at this stuff, create this stuff, and just put it out here for you to use the way you want to. Sentient weapons is actually kind of a cool one. Some extra thief options, magic users, more character sheets of all kinds of formats. I mean, guys, they give this all away for free. If you want to download the stuff you want, print it out the way you want it, you can do that. If you want to just leave it in PDF forms and use that as your everything's on PDF, there's nothing wrong with that. All of that works here. If you want to go to the links and buy the books, that's a thing too. You could do all that stuff. And I love that there's just all that choice there for you to take. And even when you want to choose to purchase, you're not having to save up tons and tons of money just to get basic books. Again, you could buy the hardcover core rule books and the 2 bestiaries All three of those books combined, I believe, if I'm remembering correct, cost me $36. That's not including the NPC book that I was showing you before. So $36 for those three books, and that's enough material to run adventures for a lifetime. And I'm not even kidding about that, guys. They give you adventures and modules that contain settings and everything. Here's that SRD I was telling you about. I just wanted to show you guys this. Creative Commons, share alike, international. It basically gives you the rules of if you want to use this. This is how you do that. I think that's great. It gives credit to all the wonderful artists and contributors. And guys, let's give these guys a big thanks. What an awesome, awesome group of people to give us this stuff. And it just gives us all the stuff that you need for the very basics of the game, and then you can use it from there. And that's what I love about it. As you can see, this is everything just without the artwork, just very basic, and you can take this and mold it to whatever you want. And I love that about this game. They are this open. They allow that, and it's totally cool to take this and use it the way you desire. On the home page here, you could see you could join the Discord. Please do that. It's a great community, always busy, always people on there. Join the Facebook group if you're into the Facebooks. It is there for you to join. Of course, download PDFs, play the game, share the game, spread the word. If you haven't heard about this game, try it out. Tell me what you think. Bottom of the page here, check it out. There are t-shirts. Support them by going to Cafe Press, buying a t-shirt. Do that for them. But guys, basic fantasy. I can't gush about it enough. Let's go back to the table over there, and I'll give you my closing thoughts about Basic Fantasy, one of my favorite tabletop role-playing games that exists. I think I've made my point very clear, and I am not even hiding the fact that I absolutely love this game. I love the artwork. I love what it stands for. I love the community around it. And I cannot give enough respect to Chris Gonerman and the community that's helped build this game up and what they've created. Because what they've created here, people, is really a no-brainer. If you love playing old school inspired type of fantasy gaming, Basic Fantasy gives it to you for free. It gives you so many options. It's almost silly that we spend money on anything else when you really think about it. Now, of course, I'm going to have other recommendations that will make me look silly for saying that too. But if you really want an easy to learn, easy to run, easy customizable game that you literally don't have to spend a dime on if you don't want to, you can't get better than Basic Fantasy. I can't recommend this game enough. It is my most recommended tabletop game to anybody looking to leave Dungeons & Dragons behind and go off on their own, especially if you're a person that follows in the footsteps of the people that contribute to this and you like creating things yourself and you like taking things and molding it to what you want, kind of like I do when I do my games. This is such a game for you. And again, you have enough material to run games for the rest of your life and then pass it on to your kids and they can run it for the rest of their lives, and none of you would ever play the same game twice. And I love that about this game. So again, Chris Gonerman and everybody else has contributed to this system. Thank you so much. The artwork is wonderful. The adventures, the monsters, everything is just so great and so just readily available. And I love what you guys are doing for the tabletop community. So I thank you so very much for that. If you're looking for a one and done, guys, if you just want to get into one game and not be like the Motley GM is here, jumping from different systems, you want a one and done fantasy inspired game that's got that medieval flavor that we all seem to love in that type of fantasy, you can't go better than Basic Fantasy. It's a wonderful game. Please check it out. Check out Chris Gonerman's channel. Check out their Discord. Go to their forums and join and be part of the community. Please do it. It's a wonderful game. That being said, this is number one. I'm going to be doing some other videos on other games that also fill this void. Some of them will be popular, like Basic Fantasy is. Some of them I'm going to put out there that I feel are kind of criminally underrated. And hopefully I'll hear from you guys and hear some games that you feel are in the same vein. Now, your list might be different than mine, and that's totally cool. I'm just giving you my thoughts and opinions based on games that I've actually played and experienced. So take that with the grain of salt that you will. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Like and subscribe and do all that kind of stuff. Comment below. Tell me about what you think about basic fantasy and games that are similar to it. Always remember, play for fun first. Thanks for watching, guys.